When we watch Frankenstein, it's easy to focus on the monster, but the film is doing something much more precise in the background. It's organizing meaning through color: red, green, gold, blue-gray. These colors repeat across the film, attached to specific characters, spaces, and moments, and that repetition isn't accidental. Guillermo del Toro spent more than 2 decades thinking about this story, so it's safe to assume that color here is doing narrative and psychological work. To understand how, we need to talk about where the story really begins. This film has 2 openings. One is the Arctic, cold, hostile, and masculine. The other is Victor Frankenstein's relationship with his mother. And psychologically, that second beginning is the key: red, desire, guilt, and forbidden attachment. Victor's mother is associated with red, not a comforting red, but a heavy, intense one. Red carries multiple meanings at once: love, violence, excitement, and danger. It's the color of desire that has crossed a boundary. In psychoanalytic terms, this kind of attachment can be described as incestuous, not necessarily in a literal sense, but structurally. It's a bond that refuses separation. The visual detail matters here. The mother is partially hidden behind a veil. She is both present and inaccessible. That ambiguity creates tension and guilt, and that same structure reappears later in the film. Victor's attraction to Elizabeth mirrors this earlier attachment. Elizabeth is engaged to Victor's brother, someone who shares his blood. Once again, desire is directed toward a forbidden object, and the film makes this visible. The first time Victor sees Elizabeth, she is framed in red. This echoes the structure of Mary Shelley's novel. In the 1818 version, Elizabeth is Victor's cousin. In the 1831 revision, she is an orphan adopted by Victor's mother and later offered to him as a future wife. Either way, the maternal shadow remains. In psychoanalysis, forbidden desire produces guilt. And in Frankenstein, guilt consistently appears as red. As the story progresses, red shifts from desire to consequence. A key image here is a statue that resembles an angel, but is actually a fallen angel, Lucifer. Victor is no longer just desiring. He is intervening in life and death, a domain traditionally reserved for God. By crossing that line, he aligns himself with the figure of rebellion. From this point on, red marks death. His mother's blood stains Victor's face. Elizabeth's white wedding dress is soaked in red. The creature is brought to life through tanks filled with red liquid. Red becomes the color of unchecked desire and moral cost. Elizabeth, however, begins to move away from red. In moments where her connection to Victor feels ambiguous, traces of red remain. But when she finally chooses William and tells Victor to let her go, she leaves her red umbrella behind. This is a visual separation. Green replaces red. Green is the color of nature, growth, and life that unfolds without control. Elizabeth's interest in insects and the natural world shows up in her clothing: green tones, organic patterns. Her necklace, designed by Tiffany, is inspired by dung beetles, which symbolized rebirth in ancient Egypt. Her feathered hairpiece resembles angel wings. She becomes a figure associated with renewal and life, in direct contrast to Victor, who is reanimating the dead. Still, small traces of red remain, because Elizabeth is human. She experiences temptation, but she stops. That difference matters. Blue-gray, the monster and emotional death. The creature is blue-gray. This color choice is deliberate. Blue-gray evokes cold, isolation, and emotional abandonment. The spaces he inhabits share the same palette: sterile, lifeless, and unwelcoming. Even the Arctic opening prepares us for this emotional climate. The monster is not just frightening, he is the physical embodiment of Victor's guilt and inner corruption. His body is alive, but he is emotionally dead, because becoming human requires care, recognition, and emotional investment. And Victor provides none of that. The creator refuses responsibility. Gold enters the film as a warning, not a comfort. It represents the illusion of omnipotence, the fantasy of becoming God. Victor believes he can give life and take it away. The Arctic explorer mirrors this belief, sacrificing his crew in pursuit of unreachable glory. It's the same logic. My goal matters more than your life. Gold dominates the explosion scenes. The sun itself appears golden. When Victor introduces the creature to sunlight, he tells him not to be afraid. Light means life, but this moment is deceptive. A false sense of resolution. In the final scene, the creature faces the sun, as if reaching for warmth and life. But this is not how Mary Shelley's novel ends. In the original story, darkness and cold prevail. Del Toro knows this, and by offering us warmth and gold, he plays with our desire for resolution. Seen through color, Frankenstein isn't simply a story about science gone wrong, it's about desire that refuses limits, creation without responsibility, and guilt that is never fully acknowledged. That's why the monster was never the real horror. The real danger was the refusal to let go. If this kind of reading, slow, visual, and psychological, is what you're looking for, consider subscribing. And let me ask you this: which color stayed with you the longest after the film ended? Not the one you noticed consciously, but the one that lingered. Leave it in the comments.